Imagine a perfect world where you can build a restaurant, open the doors, and make loads of money. Unfortunately, those days are over. It takes great leadership, hard work, and long hours to operate a successful restaurant. Together, we can make it happen. This is Restauranttopia. All right, welcome to Restauranttopia. We're got a special edition here that we're going to be discussing some things in regards to the COVID-19 virus that's going on right now. So this is some information that hopefully will be consumed, quickly because of the importance and the urgency of it. And so here with our normal crew, we've got Brian Seitz and Anthony Hamilton and myself, Dave Ross. We're excited to get into this. So I think we are going to start with some employee assistance stuff. And I know, Anthony, you did quite a bit of research on some of this. So if you want to go ahead and get us started.
Yeah, this is, and thanks, Dave. I appreciate that. This is a kind of a notion that hits close to home with me, as you know, as an operator. So it's very much in tune with a lot of restaurant employees. I'm on the outside looking in now. It's sometimes hard for me to watch these people being furloughed or laid off and losing their jobs and being otherwise hopeless. Certainly the promise of government funds and support and relief has been outstanding. But to my knowledge, as of yet, it's been very difficult for a lot of people to get unemployment and very difficult for them to receive funds from the federal government. From the SBA standpoint, as you know, the payroll protection plan and things. Obviously, we knew that the metaphor that was given was we're building this plane as it's taxiing down the runway, is what the president of the Chamber of Commerce said the other day in a webinar I was on, and I thought it was pretty profound. So it's no surprise that it's been turbulent to say the least. No play on words intended. But there's some things out there I think some industry folks should be looking at doing if they haven't already, while they're waiting on the funds to come in and the relief come in. And first and foremost, we want to talk about personal finances and things you can do within your personal budget to help alleviate a lot of pain rather than just waiting for handouts to bring your ship above water. One of those things I wanted to start with was, and I got this from you, Brian, believe it or not, was preserve as much cash as possible. Do whatever you can right now just to keep as much cash on hand to render you flexible and modular and ready to take on any challenges that come across. And the more cash you keep spending, the less power, less control you have over your own situation.
That's something that I got from my mentor. Cash is king. This is the perfect opportunity to stretch out creditors, whether it's a bank or a credit card or your car loan, and everyone's in the same boat. I'm heading up one of the task force here at Hillcrest, and talking to business owners, all day long. Restaurants are calling me, asking me questions, and there's a lot of anxiety out there. There's a lot of pressure. Sure. But if you have zero cash, you have zero moves, and all these banks and mortgage companies and credit card companies are in the same boat. So push them off, hold on to that cash. It allows you to invest in your people and allows you to make moves.
Sure. And even from an employee standpoint, doing things as simple as calling your mortgage lender or your auto loan underwriter, these people who carry your loans, they're already built for this. They're getting governmental support. They're handing out deferments like hotcakes, quite honestly. It's as simple sometimes, and I've had some friends do this, and I've been following the situation, to get on the phone. Hey, so-and-so, I've experienced some financial hardship due to COVID-19. What kind of deferments are you offering? Before you get off the phone, you have a 3-month deferment in place, interest-free. It's not uncommon. It's really easy to do. And if you think, what are you paying? $1,000, $1,500, $2,000 in your mortgage? I mean, whatever your house runs. Think about the amount of savings that is over 3 months, right? Like that's, $4,500 and $6,000 cash in hand. You're not going to get that from unemployment. So sometimes I think we often don't look outside. We don't look internally. We look outside for the assistance when in turn we could just mitigate expenses and save a ton more money that way. Kind of opposite how a restaurant works, right? But for personal finance, I think it's gold. And you can do this for your cars, your credit cards, and your mortgage lenders all in one. And I'm pretty sure most of them are set up to be pretty patient in this regard. In fact, I think they're being lauded or rewarded for being patient for people going through finance right now.
Yeah, I agree. Go ahead, Brian. Sorry.
Oh, and this is an opportunity for you to kind of have a personal conversation with your employees and give them some of these tools and tricks. This is all of our, first pandemic, but a lot of us lived through the housing crisis. A lot of us lived through 9/11 and have been in society where we've had these traumatic events that, all of a sudden life changes, as it changed. So this is something where you can take a younger employee and be like, all right, this is a time to get a budget. This is time to, have all your creditors on a list and know how much you owe. And here's their phone numbers and dial for dollars, start saying, hey, can I have 30 days? Can I have 90 days? Forbearance. Can I push these off? What does this look like? And, it's what are you going to do when you get the government funding? That you were 100% on point there, Anthony, when you said that those funds are taking a while to get in. They are. I still haven't seen any updated when the additional federal $600 is going to be released for unemployment applicants. So those funds are finite. They're still unknown when they're going to be released. But talk to your employees, coach them up. They're going through similar things as the owner is, and you need to help people out. We're in this together, and I think it'll really benefit everyone.
Yeah, no, I agree with everything you guys are saying. And I think that right now, like my grandfather used to always tell me, like, don't ask, don't get,
Yep.
So even if you think that somebody may not be doing something, like call, ask for it. Like Anthony said, there's going to be a lot of, there is a lot of people that are already set up. I've had stories of, the mortgage is a huge, portion of people's outgo during the month, where it be a rental or an actual mortgage, to be able to push 3 months to the end of the loan with no penalties. I mean, why wouldn't you take advantage of that? Like you said, that could be, it could be $1,500, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, depending on your mortgage. That's real money, so that's important. So just, make sure you're making all your calls and asking, and like Brian said, coach up your people. But what else is out there as far as assistance programs, outside of the personal stuff? What else can people take advantage of?
Yeah, that's a good question. And obviously, I've dug deep into this. And there's a couple of national brands that are doing a really good job. I think by now, everybody pretty much knows, like Sam Adams doing the $1,000 grants. And they partner with a lot of restaurants in Boston. It started off with Ming Tsai and Ken Oringer and chefs like that. But now they're going national. I think they just kicked it off in Ohio, which is pretty cool. So for every Sam Adams out there, there's probably 10 no-name companies doing the same thing. And I don't mean no name in a bad way. I'm just saying not recognized like a brand like Sam Adams. And I'll be honest with you, there's too many to list. And I could not believe how many different organizations out there are trying to help, even if they only have a couple $100,000 in funds. They're like, hey, look, we got a couple $100,000 to give away to the first so many applicants. It's pretty amazing. But on the national scope, you have the National Restaurant Association is doing some really good stuff. They're going to start handing out some $500 grants here on April 12th. You have the United Bartenders Guild. They're going to hand out some grants here and there as far as tipped employees are concerned. James Beard Foundation is doing their best to make sure that everybody's taken care of. And then you have the Restaurant Workers COVID Crisis Relief Fund, restaurantorder.com, eater.com, so on and so forth. So tons of resources out there. And we've actually dropped a tremendous amount of links in the show notes here. And I think the most valuable part of this would be the aggregate list, or the composite lists that have the restaurantorder.com, Eater, Plate Online, New York Times, Restaurant Business Online, Spill the Dish, and even Forbes are really good go-to places, because they've done a lot of work to get all the resources into one list on one website. So you follow these links and they'll keep their list updated live. So if you're bored and you're looking for relief, jump on the internet and take a look at these websites, because I'm telling you, there's a lot out there. You just got to do some work. It's kind of like finding a scholarship in college. Someone's willing to give you the money if you're willing to do the work.
Yeah, and I think that, another thing to discuss is that, Anthony and I recently went to a training up in Ann Arbor for Zingerman's. And they had a really cool, now this is pre-pandemic, before any of this stuff we even thought would ever happen. There was an employee assistance fund that they put revenue towards.
Yeah, the rainy day fund.
The rainy day fund.
Yeah.
So if you're an owner listening to this, and this may not be the time to start it right this instant, but you might want to put this in your calendar for the future months to say, like, do I start something like this so that I've got something to help out employees and help out and do things, and we can get you some more information on that in the show notes, and also if anyone wants to reach out and talk about it specifically. But if you can set something up to where there's something being contributed, I think they were doing 10% of
10% of profit.
10% of profit. You know what I mean? So that adds up over time.
Well, they built that in day one too, Dave. So it's been
correct.
Almost 40 years now. It's just been building.
I know.
It's fascinating.
So, and I just read an article on them, on what they're doing during this time. And I can imagine just with that mindset, they're going to be way ahead of a lot of people as far as helping out employees and doing the right thing. So,
That's a great point, Dave. And you have this list and it's in the show notes, but it gives you an opportunity to reach out to your employees. You just laid them off, you just furloughed them. You have a sense of uncertainty with your business. You're either open or, doing takeout. What does it look like for them? Are they just sitting home and worried? And it's not like they went out and got another job during the pandemic. So, this has caused everyone to have a high level of anxiety. So if you can alleviate that even a little bit, or just by talking to the person and giving them some options, idle hands do the devil's work, as my mom always used to say. You got to be doing something. And that's one reason that we put this show together today, is what are the steps that you can take right now, easy steps that can better your business and better your employees. And those are the steps you need to take now.
Yeah. So Brian, there's a couple local agencies doing some things too. There's a company out of Cleveland that followed suit on the virtual tip jar. And I went there today, and there's a link in the show notes. Again, you click on that and it just brings up a list of laid off restaurant employees, and the website randomly assigns you to one, and you can just tip them. You just throw them a tip via Venmo, cool. PayPal, whatever. I think it's awesome, right? So now you have this like really direct kind of intimate relationship with this person, because you're not just throwing money in a bucket of a charity and letting other people run it. Like, you're directly impacting this person's life. And maybe that's for, onlookers who have been more fortunate. But for restaurant workers, if you don't have your name on that list, get your name on that list. You never know what's going to happen. And then the Ohio Restaurant Association is following suit with the National Restaurant Association, and they're going to offer locally based grants and things of that nature as well. And then there's a couple restaurants around town too, like Lago and Dante, that are doing staff meals for laid off restaurant workers. And some of them are doing some really innovative stuff. I mean, but it's all about giving right now. It's like 2 months of Thanksgiving for these companies. It's really astounding to watch, and quite frankly is kind of, reaffirmed my faith in humanity, because the way these people are coming together is pretty damn amazing.
Yeah, no question. You definitely see what people are made of in crisis, positive and negative, but this is a positive that I like to see.
No doubt. So Brian, what do you think about healthcare? And this is one that I've had trouble with, and we're going on personal finances and personal experience. We're one of the only countries in the nation that when you lose your job, or in the world, I should say, when you lose your job, you lose your healthcare too. So is it applicable to go get COBRA? Is it applicable to go back to the Obamacare exchange? I mean, what do you do?
That could be a show in and of itself.
Okay.
On what to do. COBRA is typically not an option for most people because of the expense. Some employers are keeping the insurance going for the 30 days, and hopefully
that's cool.
We'll get past those things. There's low income help for when someone loses their job, set up through some of the community hospitals. So there are options. It's very little. It's not great. It's better to have healthcare, but again, I think that's a whole nother topic for a new show entirely. And I think it's something that we will hit, because I think it's important to, as an owner, what do you look like for your own personal family healthcare, and then what does it look like for your staff? How do you keep a bartender for 20 years? Well, one way is figure out a mechanism so they can have healthcare for themselves and their family. Those things are interesting and important to us. And I think it is something after the COVID issues pass, I think we'll do an episode on that.
Great.
But on the insurance side, just general insurance, healthcare insurance, and I'm speaking about Ohio. Our second topic here today is the 60-day moratorium on premiums. So the Ohio Department of Insurance came down with a directive that it gave owners 60 days grace period to pay their premiums. So that allows people to delay that payment, keep insured, and not get canceled during that time. So hopefully the PPP and some of these other programs will backfill the expense of this insurance, so people can get back up and operating. But it's really nice to see insurance companies, taking a positive step forward with the Ohio Department of Insurance.
And then speaking of insurance, I think there's also some real positive talk about the business interruption part of insurance as well, Brian. Right? They're looking at given this situation special attention in regards to that.
Yeah, it'll have to be government backed or government funded with the insurance companies. And there's a few bills at the state level in several different states as far as forcing the insurance companies to issue business interruption coverage. Now, most of these policies have exclusions for viruses, if not all of them. And because of the systemic nature of the number of claims that, the whole state of Ohio is affected by this. So everyone with an insurance policy would potentially have a claim that would bankrupt any insurance company. So that's why those things are not covered. But if it's funded by the government and there's a bailout, which there would need to be, then you may get business interruption coverage. So that will be really interesting to see if that passes. On a side note, I have talked to a few insurance agents, and they're doing some really innovative things. And Anthony said this, you got to call, or whoever said you got to call. It's a great point. You got to call your agent, talk about what things are available and what your insurance company is doing. I've seen some insurance companies are returning premiums because the risk is lower now. I've seen some insurance companies allow for delivery because the restaurant is essentially closed. So the owner or an approved driver can make deliveries under the company's insurance. So that's great. And again, the risk is lower because there's fewer people on the road, but it allows someone who didn't have delivery 5 seconds ago, be able to implement that strategy and be covered and have a covered automobile on the road. So those sorts of things are, to me, great and a positive step in the right direction for insurance companies.
Well, again, you're seeing people bending the rules to help other people out, and I really appreciate that from the outside looking in. I think it's tremendous. It's
absolutely. And then
awesome.
There's some things like I wouldn't even thought about, like that point about adding delivery with the insurance. That wouldn't even cross my mind. And I'm sure there's some people out there listening now that hopefully they're getting the same reaction and thinking, man, okay, let me get on this. So that's great.
No, like we did the episode on third-party delivery, and it's so expensive. And, if you're supplementing your dine-in business, that's one thing. But, man, when that's the only game in town is delivery, and now they're sucking all that profit off the table, do you want to do that? Or do you want to get in the game yourself and say, all right, hey, I'm gonna deliver, or I'm going to deliver within this small radius and make sure that the quality control's there?
Yeah. In the third-party systems, too, I know they were doing some promotions, and don't quote me on this, but there was some information out there where they were waiving commissions for a while, or for a certain number of deliveries or whatever the case may be, to try to help alleviate that stress. Because to your point, Brian, if you're paying Uber or whoever 30% of your sale, then there's not much left for you. You're generating cash flow at a loss. You might as well just shut your doors.
No, and we've seen so many operators do that. The anxiety level of the operators I've talked to is very high. I see a lot of people, starting to turn their operations back on and getting into delivery and curbside pickup. But it was a very uncertain couple of weeks. And, as things move on, more information comes out. We'll all get through this. But you want to be innovative, and you want to make moves.
Yeah. I think you have to. It's evolve or die, right?
It is. It's
literally.
No, the restaurant landscape will be different this summer than it was last summer. It just
I think the whole world landscape would be different. There's going to be some things efficiencies that we fall in love with that we were forced into, and some things that just won't recover. It's going to be fascinating.
You're right. I mean, only so many people can work from home. And, those people are fortunate. I consider myself one of them. I'm at the office today, but no one else is here. That's not something that's not something that's going to be an option for a line cook. That's not something that's going to be an option for a server. Yeah. So, these people are on the front lines of this pandemic and exposing themselves. And, we're going to talk about cleaning and those sorts of things here today too. But it really goes to they're exposing themselves to risk. How do you mitigate that risk? And also, how do you make sure that there's still people who want to take these jobs this summer and moving forward?
Yeah, no, all great points. So why don't could we transition into finances a little bit more maybe and talk about some of the things for the small business? I know we we had a webinar on Friday that Brian kind of spearheaded, and our CFO, Jamie Romano, did a lot of the presentation. That was just fantastic. So if you haven't heard that webinar, we'll put a link in the show notes, and you can check out the podcast episode right before this. Also, there's a nice PowerPoint presentation that goes along with it, but can't say enough good things about the information in that webinar. You really need to take a listen to that. And if you haven't already acted on these loans that are out there, as far as the PPP and the disaster assistance and all that.
True. David, I keep saying this, and I know you guys are probably getting tired of hearing it. Call your banker, see the process that, get the link from him that you need to do to start the process. These things are available. Some of them are forgivable. Apply. This will save your business. Even if you don't think you need the money, apply and you can pay it back right away. It's just, at the end of the day, these are the things that will save your operation. It'll allow you to expand. It will allow you to, to Anthony's point earlier, it'll let you make moves that you didn't have. So you'll get an influx of cash. You'll be able to do things. You'll be able to negotiate with your landlord. You'll be able to negotiate with your vendors. You'll be, you'll be still in the game. And
how about keeping your employees on payroll so they come back to you when you open the doors,
Oh, absolutely, Anthony. I don't know how that is going to play out, and anyone who says they do is foolish. But if you have someone who's making, $300 on unemployment, and then they're getting $600 from federal funds or whatever the federal compensation is, and they're at $900, $1,000 a week in compensation, it's going to be difficult to get them back for minimum wage. So those are going to be stumbling blocks.
Yeah, and I think that's why you got to stay in touch with your staff too that you've laid off or furloughed, and you got to really care about them. And some of these things we talked about at the beginning of this episode with the financial assistance and making sure that they're doing things properly and helping them out, reaching out, doing those things is all going to be positives towards your culture and towards your loyalty and people wanting to come back into your business and into your life.
I totally agree.
Don't get me started on culture, Dave. I'll ramble for 2 days.
There's an episode brewing.
Yeah, I think so too. And this is a good demonstration of that, right? What's your company made of? I think it's going to be indicative when the employees come back and how many come back to you. I think that's going to be a true sign of what kind of business person you are. Again, it's all a great unknown and anxiety road. I have anxiety being a third party, guys. I'll be honest. And even through all this financial support and all this help and everything that's out there, because it really is a sea of amazing. There's a lot of stuff going on out there. When do you open your doors? How do you open your doors? And what's it look like? I mean, there's so much. I don't know. It's tough.
Yeah. So let's some of that stuff, let's talk about maybe what leads up to that is like, what should people be doing now that, let's say, they unfortunately had to close or they're operating at diminished levels? What are some things that they could be doing now to prepare themselves for when things open back up? There's a laundry list of stuff, but maybe we can focus in on some key things to get people, motivated.
No, I if the first thing that comes to my mind is just cleaning and every restaurant should be super clean. I think that the consumer is going to, have an increased level of awareness on cleanliness. So it
not only now but later, right? Like
correct, yeah.
I think this is lasting. It's fascinating.
Yeah, this is changing. This is changing everything. The game's changing. Like this is something where people aren't going to put up with any leniency in that regard. I think I told you this guy, the story the other day about my wife, going into a grocery store where nobody was wearing gloves. And I won't tell you the name of that establishment, but she won't go back. And she actually even threw away the bags that she brought home because she just felt it didn't feel safe.
Big Bird? Was it Big Bird?
No, it was not.
We've all become microbiologists all of a sudden, right? We got the honorary degree in microbiology and epidemics. But you're right. I think
perception's reality.
Yeah, and we're going to have more stringent reality and perception moving forward. We're going to be more aware of what's going on. We're going to pay attention to it because now it's been ingrained in us. So restaurants beware.
Yeah, take yourself to, the bucket of forks and knives. Are you going to be able to just stick your hand in there? How about that Heinz ketchup on the table? When's the last time that was wiped down? I mean, you're really going to be squirting that all over your French fries and then picking it up with your fingers? Like those are the things that people are going to start thinking about. And what does that look like? Is that going to...
Oh, sorry, Brian. I didn't mean to cut you off. It's almost like a competitive advantage now to advertise your cleanliness, right? Like, hey, look, I'm cleaner than the next guy. I do wipe down my Heinz ketchup every day, that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
Or that's part of busting the table. Like that. This is going like so much further than, my, background of, being a kid, like, 5-second rule falls on the floor and like, it's fine. Like this is gone. Like this is now, the busser is cleaning the table with this, surgical checklist of 45 things, and these types of disinfectants and sanitation is being done. And what does it look like? And, I don't think anyone's going to get away with, just a placard on the wall in the bathroom saying, employees must wash their hands. Like, well, how about everyone wash their hands? Like it's
not such a bad idea.
Yeah, and there's all kinds of technology now in hospitals and stuff that goes as far as monitoring hand washing. Like how does that come into the restaurant industry in the coming months and years, maybe, where, if you're at the forefront of something like that, I mean, that could be big to make people feel comfortable.
Yeah, and UV lights in your kitchen and different what different tools are you going to have to use now to sanitize things? And just a general concern for public health. But are you going to see self-serve chips? Those are probably gone. What self-serve things are no longer going to be a thing?
Yeah, that all-you-can-eat lunch buffet, downtown might not be as attractive.
Mm-hmm. No, it was delicious, but
no. Right now I'm just having operators course through my head that this applies to, and I certainly want to reach out after this. I hope they're thinking about that stuff right now. That's going to be that's a tough stigma to shake. And how do you prove to people that your buffet or your self-service areas are clean enough for them to feel safe? It's going to be months or years or never before customers feel safe about that sort of stuff again.
I don't think you ever will. I think the self-serve area, the buffet, it's going to be the payphone of our generation. It's going to be gone. You'll have the buffet where there's a server behind it,
yep.
And they're delivering you the food, but not where you just go up and 15 rolls of sushi.
You can't let the barbarians over the wall, can you?
Yeah, really. Yeah. And then other things as far as cleaning, you've got, especially if you're currently not operating, unfortunately, you've got beer lines, you've got old inventory on maybe kegs, cleaning of, deep cleaning of the kitchen and bathroom and hoods and even front of the house where maybe it's a new paint job or something just to kind of freshen things up. Cause I think all those things are going to elude cleanliness. They're going to elude safety. When it's dingy or cobwebs or dust and, things that you maybe overlooked, like I think it's time to take a hard look and walk around with a notepad around your place and say, does the outside look good? Like cigarette butts or, all that stuff is going to just attract people's attention to not as clean as I'd like it to be to eat here.
That is going to be the future. And I think an operator who doesn't see that is going to be punished by the consumer. Does the ceiling fan have dust on it? Are there chipped floor tile or, are there broken tile or, what have you repaired with duct tape? Like all these things that like what my eye catches and like, oh my God, like if that's how they're doing in the front of the house, what's the back of the house look like? If the bathroom is so disgusting, I get pink eye as I walk out. Like that's something that maybe you should spend some time on and
like
renovating
instantaneously.
Yes, like it
just like, jumps in your eye. Like,
why
Brian,
can you not?
Brian, we have to talk about the places you're visiting.
I'm not getting lunch from you again.
I love all food, and I will not let a dirty bathroom slow me down. But Joe Consumer will. Joe Consumer will.
I'm with you on that. Some of the best restaurants I've ever been to have been divey as hell. I get you.
Oh, yeah.
I'll ignore a lot.
No, but
maybe not anymore though.
Not instantaneous pink eye though. That's not ignorable. It's like before you get back to your seat, your eye.
It's going to be a dynamic shift. I mean, and we want to, as restaurateurs and lovers of the industry, we want to get people back in, and that comfort level has to be super high. I talked to God forbid, an attorney this morning, and he goes, I don't know if the restaurants will ever recover. And like, yeah, they're going to recover. It will just look a little different. And some of the players will be pushed out. Operators who refuse to identify cleanliness issues and sanitation are going to have a real problem.
Well, I'm going to back that up and just say operators who refuse to evolve in general. And I don't mean to speak unkindly here. It's just the facts is the facts. And if you have someone that's pretty hard boiled and been set in their ways for a long time, that's just it. They won't recover. They won't recover. And they'll get replaced by someone else who will. And oh, by the way, that new someone else will hire your old staff because now you have a bunch of people looking for jobs. I mean, you have an army of workers on one hand and you have an army of entrepreneurs on the other hand. Restaurants are going to survive. Like you said, they're just going to look different. It's going to be different ownership. There'll be different models, but it'll survive. It's just going to be different.
Anthony,
the game's going to change. Like if you're the game went from soccer to football. So once the whistle blows and you're running back out on the field with a soccer ball, they're like, no, player, like we're playing football. You know what I mean? Like it's not going to last long.
Yeah.
I'd still get picked last no matter what game we're playing. Brian, what were you going to say?
Oh, as far as the state standards and some of the training that you do, have they changed at all, or do you expect them to change?
No, I mean, they're doing, and you're speaking of ServSafe primarily because they had kind of have monopolistic tendencies when it comes to the sanitation training world. They sent out some memos and stuff to the instructor proctors talking about certain things that are COVID related. In fact, they're offering resources on like extra guards you can take or extra measures you can take as far as washing your hands and what you can mandate as a manager. And also on a staff level to educate your staff more to help in prevention. But to my knowledge, they haven't mandated any changes yet. But on the back end of this, they've learned a tremendous amount about communicable diseases, and they will be changing a lot very soon. I would bet dollars to donuts that's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree, and you don't even know what's going to come down the pike on that. So
I don't know what I don't know, right?
Again, the game changing, that could really change the game. So we're talking about cleanliness, like, so how do you, maybe let's transition on the marketing end. Like, how do you market out to people, especially now when people maybe aren't entering your establishment as much? You got a little bit of people maybe picking up, but it's mostly delivery or curbside or whatever it is. Like, so how do we coach people on marketing that cleanliness now, so that people know that it is safe to come in?
I like a brag book.
Yeah, I think before when you were talking about your food and showing, slow motion videos of you pouring something over top of your, delicious pancakes, I think it's now about how the pancakes were prepared and that, everything was wiped down and the floors were clean and we used this disinfectant and, we eliminated the self-serve pop machine and now we bring it to the table. I think it's going to be, just a campaign of this is what we do to keep our restaurant clean. Yeah.
With all due respect, I wouldn't even hesitate to do a full-fledged campaign, like not even be discreet about it. Like I may just put it out there with my employees smiling with gloves and a mask on, handing to-go food to someone else and being like, yo, look, we are clean. And I would go full bore on that right now, especially in the next couple of weeks, and everybody's going to be especially sensitive. And then I probably bring that back to B-roll in my social media videos, like down the road. I'm still going to leave it. But right now, I'm going to be unabashed about it. I'm going to say, look, this is my competitive edge. We're going through these majors, investing these resources to make sure our people are acting this way, and you're going to appreciate it.
Yeah. How much of that, Anthony, do you think it's going to scare people from going out and doing takeout? Like, do you think it could actually have
anybody? No, I think, the first week of this thing, I think we all agree that everybody was scared to get takeout and everybody decided they're going to be the next Paul Prudhomme at home, right? And they're going to whip up all these meals. After a week, they got real cynical and then takeout business started booming a little bit more. So I don't know that it scares them. I mean, obviously you can go over the top. There's a threshold there. But to show people what you got going on, I would argue it's an advantage. I don't know that it would scare anybody. I know I'm scared when I go to his wife's grocery store and they're not touching things with gloves and they're handing me cash and I feel icky, and as you know, we have a compromised immune system in my household. So I have to be especially careful. We're to the point when we get home, I Lysol grocery bags on the outside. So I would love to walk in a grocery store like I did the other day and they had a cart there and a person and they sanitized the cart in front of me and then handed it to me. I think that's the same milk you're talking about scaring customers. Hell, it made me feel awesome. I'm like, sweet, thanks. I get this $100 bottle of sanitizer in my pocket I don't have to use now.
Exactly. Yeah. No, but you're right. And just for clarification, that's not my wife's grocery store. That's the one.
Oh, she doesn't own it.
She's not going to go to. Yeah. I wanted to just clarify that.
Sorry, I was struggling because I happen to know the name of it, and I didn't want to say it because it's not my gig. But
Yeah,
sorry.
Dave's rolling in all that grocery store money. Like he's like the toilet paper put his kids through college.
Yeah, literally, yeah.
An Ivy League too. This is a joke college.
But yeah, I mean, I think all these things you're saying are spot on, and I think that right now, like even if let's talk for a second maybe about the minimum of what does your social media look like, because everybody's at home, okay? Everybody's either watching Netflix, they're watching Tiger King, or they're watching whatever, or they're on their phones and they're on so social media usage is way up. So if you maybe don't have the best social media exposure right now, or accounts or frequency, that's something you need to start 2 weeks ago. You need to get into the DeLorean, go back in time and get this going.
Your content's changed too a lot. So as before, we're broadcasting about the quality of our products and why you should get them. Now I'm kind of looking for empathy, and I'm leading with empathy, and I'm feeling bad for my customers, and hopefully they feel bad for me, because we're all kind of feeling bad for each other and helping each other out. And I'm also giving them a look behind the curtain. Hey, look, this is what we're doing in our downtime. Check this out. Bobby Sue and Mary Jo over here, and they're putting this together, and we're improving this. And because listen, people are clamoring to get outside, and I'm not sure what it's going to hold when the doors open back up, but I can promise you, I want people to be excited for me.
Well, I think you got a shot of like Brian on his hands and knees, like fixing the chip in the tile. You got pulling the duct tape off and actually attaching
really
it properly. And like all that stuff, like we laugh about that, but all that stuff is good juju.
I don't disagree.
There's tons of content in that.
Mm-hmm. And you're the producer. You have a studio in your pocket. Like you got a cell phone. Start taking pictures. Make sure these accounts are open. Consistency and content are the two things that you need to be good at. It doesn't have to be Spielberg-esque production quality, but you want to make sure that it's relevant to your people and that you're putting it out consistently. And I don't think there's anything more relevant than what am I doing to get my doors back open? This is what I'm doing to clean. And this is what the community is doing together to help everyone get through this. I mean, those three things to me are important. And that's the content that I'm seeing that's resonating with me. And when I see something cool on Eat Local Ohio, or on, one of my favorite restaurants here in Cleveland, those sorts of things that, they delivered food to the hospital. I love that. See that they're giving the police or the EMS workers free food. Like, that's cool. I love that.
Well, and some of them are even doing like pass through, where the organization saying, hey, look, like we're leading our vendors for support and donation. Mm-hmm. And then you as a customer, or you as a civilian, if you want to donate a couple bucks, we'll take it, buy more food, and then ship it out. We'll handle the logistics and management of it all. Yeah. I think that's a more sustainable model. Asking a restaurant to do it solely is great once or twice. But if you want to do this every week, like some of our partners are doing out there, it's pretty staggering the innovation you get when you're back to door corner. Because I never thought about crowdsourcing the funds to do this sort of thing. And they are successfully. It's cool.
No, and the consumer understands it and realizes that, hey, I'm not going there every Wednesday for dinner. This place needs to be able to operate. This isn't like during the high times we're donating a little bit of the profit. This is actually costing owners, and all the owners listening to this I don't need to tell you, like, this is costing you money to do charity and to give back to the community, but it's so important to them that they are doing it. And I think it also pays dividends in marketing and customer appreciation.
Listen, you do good and you'll do well, I assure you.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And it's playing the long game, like anybody that's trying to, like I look at it this way, like doing things like that to build community and doing the right thing. That's going to pay off in the long term. Taking some of your maybe small profits right now and pumping it into some social media marketing and some paid advertising or sponsorships or boosting posts. Like, some people might think like, well, why would I spend that right now? Well, there's so much attention there now. Like the amount of attention that's on there, like it's worth more now. So if you've got the ability to do that, I think again that's playing the long game. And it might sound ridiculous to be like, well, spend money on marketing when things are so low, but I don't look at it that way. Like that's playing the long game, that's going to reward you handsomely after.
Yeah, it's an investment, not an expense.
Yeah, I see I see the two takeaways from this section on social media being two things. If you're not doing social media, do it now. This is your opportunity to dive in and consistently do it as you move forward. Document your takeout, document your reopening, document your cleaning process. And then if you're in it and you already have a good social media presence, double down on it. Do it even better. Do more content. People, the eyeballs are there waiting for your content.
I love it.
Yeah, so let's wrap it up with some creative or innovative ideas, to give some people some nuggets that they can take from this and implement.
Great. I encourage anyone to email us or reach out to us if they have a great idea that they didn't hear today. But if you guys don't mind, I'll lead. Yesterday, Governor DeWine came down with an order from the liquor control in Ohio that says that Ohio can now do to-go alcohol. So when you're driving by your favorite taco place and you're like, I'd really like a margarita to go. Now you can't drink it in the car, but you can get it to go.
That's,
well,
that's a huge distinction.
You could. You just wouldn't want to be pulled over.
Careful, Dave.
I listen. I don't like the word can't. He said he's
aren't going to like this.
He says can't, and it makes me think. Well, you could.
Don't put the straw in it when you hand it to the customer. Like that's probably not good.
Yeah.
But yeah. So what does that mean for? Okay, so now you can do that. So what's that mean for the restaurant? So they've got to figure out, like, do I have the disposable cup or the to-go cup for the right size? The right cocktail. What am I actually going to offer? That's going to be potentially, maybe it's unique to me, or it's it's a specialty drink, or is it you just doing liquor on the rocks, or just beer, like whatever your focus is going to be based on your cuisine and your menu. Like, what's good things that are going to be nice profitable items that you can do now, that's going to bring profit into your organization.
You hit on a good point right there, because logistically speaking, so if I get a margarita on the rocks on my 20-minute drive home, it's going to be half water, a little bit of ice, and some margarita. So how do bartenders, and this is where innovation comes in again, because I'm looking forward to this, how do they craft the drink and give you instructions? Add 5 ice cubes when you get home, or add half a cup of ice, or whatever the case may be. It's going to be fascinating to see. But yeah, there's a lot of logistics to work through, because on the surface it seems like, yeah, sweet, drinks to go, done and done. But it's not that simple. There's a supply chain behind it and an order of operations.
No, it's just like when we talked on our episode on third-party delivery. How do you prepare that meal to make it ideal for delivery? And drinks typically have always been served on premise. So how do we package them to make them, do we put them if it's a margarita, do we put it in a mason jar and that's how it, without ice, and that's how it goes? Do you provide the salt for the rim? Is there garnish that goes with it that you provide on the side? I mean, those are all the things that we're going to work through. And, I love to hear from our audience. If you want to send any pictures or anything, we'll definitely publicize them for you and try to get you some credit, because this is really the innovative stuff that an owner operator is going to have to do to separate himself from the other people. Because TGI Fridays and the other chains that suck are going to try to do these tricks, and they're going
to put a lot of money behind it too, Brian. That's a disadvantage of the independents we spoke. I mean, but to emulate their ideas, New York, LA, before they make it to Ohio is probably not such a bad move.
Yeah, no question. I think one thing I wanted to bring up too on this topic is that, Anthony did an awesome video of a meal kit, basically from one of our really good clients, a pizza shop that he did it with his daughter at home. So they basically, they gave you the dough ball, they gave you some cheese, they gave you a little bit of flour, for kneading the dough. They gave you everything you needed to make a pizza. And I don't know what that cost me, but I'm sure it was reasonable, and the experience was worth way more than. Yeah, so
it was $12.
Yeah.
Wow, cool.
So
that was great.
So Anthony actually recorded this with his daughter in the kitchen. So if you guys check this out, if you go on Hillcrest or eLocal Ohio, you should be able to see on our social media, you should be able to check out that video. But it was really cool. And then it made me think of, what if, as a restaurant, let's say if you're maybe a restaurant and you have maybe a higher profile owner or higher profile chef that people know, or just is a good, figurehead of your organization. Why not have a virtual cooking class where, you're giving them the preparation, here's all the ingredients to make this meal. Everybody picks up their meal kit and then logs in at at 6 o'clock on Friday or 7 o'clock on Friday, and actually you go through how to make it exactly.
Love
You know
it.
what I mean? And,
That's
I mean,
awesome.
how cool would that be? You know?
Well, then you could YouTube it on the back end too and still sell the same meal for a few days, right? So maybe you're not live, but no, that's tons of potential. Because I'm seeing chefs play around on Instagram, and I'm looking at it like, man, this is awesome. You need to connect the dots, though, right? Do some approachable food that people can actually make, and then be involved in the process. You know, at the very minimum, at least you're helping someone out, right? You're changing a life for the time being.
Yeah. I think that's great. Especially the technology play on that to have the interaction and, there's so many platforms, whether it's Zoom that we're on right now or other, Facebook Live, and there's other platforms where people can feel like they're there. Again, you want to cultivate that connection with your community and make sure that those customers are thinking about you, that you're top of mind. And heck, now in Ohio, with that meal kit, they can get a couple of drinks to go too. Like that's nothing makes you cook a little bit better than gin and tonic.
Well, it makes your perception of the food better. I don't know if you cook better.
Tomato.
Listen, I've tried both ways. All right, I've had extensive experience.
It all comes down to the experience. Think about it. Like you spent that $12. If that cost you $50, Anthony, like the experience it doesn't change. Like that was an unbelievable experience with your daughter.
Awesome.
You know what I mean? Like so
we got
stuff
another
like
one
that is
in a
really
couple days. It was even better because my son was awake, so we had a bigger group and we made cake pops, and I had a blast. I wish I wasn't filming because then I could have really immersed myself into it. But I mean, I'll tell you, it's that's the innovation though that I think that people really need to take advantage of, because not only did we have fun, but then also we ate something delicious. It was great.
Yeah, and you're connecting emotionally. You're hitting people the nerve. You're hitting people's emotions, and that's a long play. That's something that people are gonna feel so good about that when this all, when we get out of this, they're just gonna want to patronize you more.
Yeah. I totally agree. Family packs. That's one I had written down. These I think are just great. Like
I spoke to an operator the other day. Said they're flying off the shelves. It's by far the best innovation he's made.
Yeah. So what's the example? What's your example of your operator's family pack? What did he have?
Pasta, garlic bread, salad. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
Pasta, garlic bread, salad. Maybe some other
protein?
side or something. Maybe chicken in the pasta or something like that.
Okay.
But it was really simple. Just come home, throw the pan in the oven, cut up the garlic bread, toss the salad, done and done. So you got a 10-minute dinner. It's by your local restaurant, and they were very fair prices. But again, people are tired of cooking. This homeschooling thing's got me down, man.
Oh, I hear you. I think the family pack is going to be one of those things that you'll see 5 years from now, and it really pushed out during the COVID-19 crisis. The one that I was thinking of that I saw was from Irie Jamaican Kitchen. Omar, the owner there, he does a great one with some sides and some jerk chicken and some other stuff with amazing display, presentation. All comes in a box and in foil pans, and so it's got like 4 quadrants, but it's enough to feed 4 people. It's reasonably priced, and it's really good food. And I think it kind of gives you back to sitting down for family dinner. It's almost like homemade. It's family style, but there's still there's not the work involved of actually making it yourself.
And no cleanup.
Correct. Yeah. No, I love that.
Me too.
Yeah, and then one thing I thought about that I had on my list was I always used to, when I was out on the streets selling to restaurants. Oh, excuse me on that mic there. When I was out on the streets selling to restaurants, I used to talk about this in like November and December when business was high. When there was a lot of traffic coming in the restaurants, we did this. It was called a red envelope program. And so what would happen is it wouldn't have to be red, but because it was around the holidays, you get a red envelope, primarily something you can't see through. And inside would be different denominations of coupons per se. So they might be a free appetizer, 10% off your meal. You might have ones where you actually a meal for 4 for free, and you have a couple of those. And so out of maybe 100 envelopes, maybe 2 are those, and then the majority are $5 off or free dessert. And you assort it around. And then basically as those people come in, or let's talk about it in these times, as people come in to do carry out or get deliveries, maybe you put them in the things, but you do a certain number of them in a certain period of time, but it's redeemable in June, after June 1st, let's say. You know what I mean? So you drive people in now to do that. Maybe, let's go back to the alcohol to go now. You know what I mean? Like,
Mm-hmm.
buy your meal and some alcohol to go, and you get entered into the red envelope contest. And here's the list of things we're giving away. You've got a chance to win free meal for 4. You get a chance to, all these different
I love
things.
that.
And then,
I love that.
Yeah, that's
and,
cool.
and then, they have to bring it back in June and actually open the envelope in June in the restaurant, when things are open back up, and then you get what you get, you know what I mean? So just, that's something that used to be a holiday thing to kind of boost January sales.
Yeah.
I think you could use the same thing, to boost, to get some revenue now and boost sales, when things open back up.
It goes to though, connecting with that customer, and kind of continuing on that dialogue. I've gotten takeout almost every day in the last 2 weeks, and just one of the things that I saw that was great was just a simple card in the to-go bag. On the front, it was like, "We appreciate you, thank you so much," and on the back, it was sign up for our mailing list and like us on Facebook or Instagram, and you get a chance to win $50 gift certificate. So like, I thought that was a really cool trick to be like, hey, here's a touch point. We want to first exercise some gratitude and say thank you. And then secondarily, we want to reward you. And like, if you want to follow us and, be in our community, you have a chance to win $50.
That's awesome.
Yeah, good ideas.
Yeah. So, what else? Any other ideas out there we're thinking of as far as innovation?
We talk about the savings bonds for gift cards.
I don't think we've talked about that. What's that?
Okay, so no, that one's awesome, and I've seen a couple operators do it now, where they're allowing their gift cards to mature like bonds. So if you spend $75 at the restaurant now, you get a $100 gift card, and you can use that. You can use that gift card now, but it's only going to be a $75 value until it matures. And then they're setting a maturity date, like 6 months. 6 months from now is probably a safe bet. We're going to be fully recovered. Everything's back in the swing. And then you can redeem that gift card for $100 that you bought for 75. So it's helping everybody out. The customers get a 25% discount. The owner gets some cash flow injected in their operations so they can make some moves. And also the purchaser is supporting their local independent, which is all good stuff from top to bottom. I would love to see more of that. That makes sense to me. I would actually buy into that very easily because it's very much symbiotic. No one's getting one up on each other. It's awesome.
No, that's a great that's a great tip, man. I love that.
Mm-hmm. No, I think that's impressive kind of ingenuity in these times. And kind of a throwback one that I think we've talked about in the past is merchandise. If you have people who are ordering online, order online a t-shirt. If you get them printed for $8 and you sell them for 18, you got a chance to make $10 a t-shirt. So I don't know how many items on your menu you can have that margin. So those are the other things out there that you can do to get people the opportunity to support you. I think a lot of these operators, people want to support, they just don't know how. So if you give them a mechanism to support you, that they will.
Absolutely. I wish we could disagree more.
No,
I've been trying.
This was a tough one.
It's tough times too. It's not disagree times. I mean, it's times we're all in this together, to try to, but I haven't heard anything I want to disagree with. I would, if I could.
Yeah. No, that's
coming
awesome.
from the lawyer too. Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm constantly arguing.
In fact, you get paid for it.
Yes.
So no, this is great stuff, man. I'm super glad that you guys get a chance to listen to some of the things we're putting out here. And again, if I can go back and just recap, like, help your employees, help them personally, make sure they are aware of all the assistance programs. On your insurance, make sure you call and get the best you can get on your insurance as far as the moratorium on premiums. Business interruption, start thinking about that, because that's most likely going to come down as long as it's funded by the government.
And on that point, make sure your agent makes a claim, even though it's not included and it's going to be denied. At least get the paperwork in to say you're going to make a claim for that business interruption.
Yeah, good point. The SBA loans, there's nothing better than the webinar we put together. Check that out in the most recent episode that we just dropped. Cleaning. Okay. I don't think we got to talk anymore about cleaning. I mean, this is going to be the game's changing. Social media, get it going, have some frequency, have great content, and play on the cleaning and safety focus.
And Dave, not to interrupt real quick, I'm going to be
Yeah,
sending
go
out a newsletter soon with Nicole from Eat Local Ohio's contact information, and she's going to be offering to consult with people on a social media basis, which I think is hugely helpful
wow.
for them too.
Very cool.
During her downtime, she's going to help out operators who reach out to her. So I'll get that sent out probably end of the week.
That's
Big
fantastic.
That's
What's
awesome.
she charging for that?
Nothing.
Wow,
Yeah, nothing.
that's
at all.
amazing. That's
Yeah, she's
amazing.
great.
And then also just the innovation, guys. We got alcohol to go now. We've got all these different things we just talked
Mhm.
about. So really love that you took the time to listen to this. Hopefully you got some good stuff. If there's anything you want to add to the conversation, please reach out to us on restauranttopia.com. Other than that, guys, everybody stay safe, wash your hands, don't touch your face.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks.
Have a great day.
Good guys. Thank you so much.
This is a high quality pod. Thank you, everybody.
Take care. Adios.
Thank you for listening to Restauranttopia. The gratitude that we have for each and every one of you spending your precious time to listen to this podcast is immeasurable. Please make sure to tell a friend about this podcast. And also, if you have any feedback for us, visit us on restauranttopia.com and drop us a line. You can also subscribe on your favorite place to listen to podcasts. Thank you and have a great day.
I can watch Tiger King for the second time, or I can create that content. I think I'll just create the content.
I was going to say Tiger King is some of the best TV in the world that I've ever seen, but twice I don't know about.
I'm on the second episode, and it's like, it's good enough. I'm going to keep watching it, but I keep thinking to myself, what am I doing with my life watching this? Like, I'm like, what the?
No,
Yeah.
What you're really thinking is, my guidance counselor never told me Tiger King was an option. Like that's what,
Yes.
like,